Let's talk about the imminent danger ahead. Joining us now, the News at 10, is a professor of climatology from the University of Lagos, Professor Emmanuel Oladipo. Professor, thank you for joining us on the News at 10. Are we in denial about climate change? I mean, we've been given the warnings about what's going to happen, and yet it appears we are just studying it like a textbook.
Thank you very much. It is not that we're in denial of climate change, and I think the government take cognizance of that and participating actively in a lot of initiatives aimed at reducing the impact of climate change. But what is happening is that maybe we are lagging behind in terms of taking proactive measures rather than reactive measures to the possible impacts of climate change. And I think that's what is very important for us now to realize, that we do not have to wait until these disasters happen before we take actions on them.
And this disaster, that's the warning from Niger, is as a result of climate change.
We're very lucky that things have improved. Nigeria is a member of the Niger Basin Authority, and that's where the warning came from. We are part of the whole system. So we are lucky that at least we are able to have that warning. And luckily, again, there's always a time lag between the time it reaches its peak in Niamey and the time it will enter Nigeria, usually about 2 weeks to a month, maybe. So we have enough time to try to follow the peaks of the river that it will be coming in this area as soon as more water is released from this area. So I'll be able to determine which areas are likely to be badly affected, right from Kebbi, through Niger, through Kwara, through Kogi, part of all the way to Anambra, and even all the way to Bayelsa State. So that gives us an opportunity. What we do not have now is that the means to contain them, to reduce the impact in totality, may not be there apart from just waiting and see what will happen when the water comes.
And we have a peculiar problem in this part of the world because, of course, you can forecast, but you can't really pinpoint where exactly the disaster will hit.
Yes, the tropical system is more delicate to understand than the temperate one. And so we will be able to say, okay, maybe Kogi, Kwara will be affected, but it's a bit difficult to do what you call the real-time forecasting, which will be able to pinpoint exactly which spots will be affected. But at the same time, there are means by which you can alert the people. And some countries are doing it. It doesn't have to be too sophisticated. In some communities, in some other countries, we have what we call community alarm makers, that they will sound the bell to the community at a time when they think the water is about half a kilometer away and on the rest, so that people can prepare themselves. So, but we need to improve now to be able to do what we call this real-time forecasting, but it's a very difficult thing for the tropical environment, of course.
So how do we prepare for this disaster? I mean, so that we don't have the same scenario as what's going on in Benue State, where several communities are underwater?
I think this is the critical issue. It is very ironic that we're in a country where it does not rain for about 4 or 5 months in a year in some of these areas. And then when it rains, because of the nature of the rain, which has been exacerbated by the climatic change conditions, it results in a lot of massive flood. So what this one requires is that I think the government of Nigeria and the state governments have to work together and develop the total area of this riverine environment, right from Kebbi, all the way to Nigeria, and develop what you call an integrated master plan for the management of the river, both for the Niger and for the Benue. And I think these examples are very clear. We have typical examples in America with Tennessee Valley Authority. So all the river basin authorities have to work together and realize that they are managing one system, which does not know when it leaves Kebbi for Niger, for Kwara and Kogi. So we have to do, number one, do the vulnerability mapping of the floodplain along this side. We know who are there, what is likely to happen, and then how do you manage it so that when it floods, it does not really affect all the people every time. Rather, we should be using the water to produce agriculture, to produce food, to do irrigation rather than allowing it to flood our people away. If you look at the Benue Valley, for instance, that area which was flooded this year, even during the dry season, you can see that this is a floodplain. Yes. Why are people settled there? Why should government allow people to settle in those areas? What can we do now that they have settled? I think these are all things we have to do holistically for a long-term plan, which must not be based on reaction, but rather on a long-term plan that will help us to manage this abnormal conditions very well.
Preparation, of course, is key at all times. Thank you so much, Professor Emmanuel
Oladipo,
for speaking with us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.